You are Locked On 49ers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Tripoli Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And tonight, the San Francisco 49ers bullied the Seattle Seahawks in their own house on their way to a 36-24 win at Lumen Field. And collectively, the Niners rushed for 228 yards despite still missing Christian McCaffrey and a mid-game injury to Jordan Mason. The NFL's second leading rusher didn't matter. And Deebo Samuel, the bully himself, continued his dominant play against the Seahawks with another 100-plus yard game. Found the end zone on a 76-yard bomb from Brock Purdy as well in this one. But ultimately, it was the three Seattle turnovers that really sealed the Seahawks' fate as the 49ers converted those turnovers into 12 points, which was the exact margin of victory in this one for the Niners. Huge win for them, who now have 6 consecutive wins over the Seattle Seahawks and now have their first division win of 2024. We'll break it all down, but first I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On 49ers podcast feed and making us your first listen following these 49ers games. Make sure to check out the Locked On 49ers Daily Show for more in-depth coverage as your second listen. Brian Peacock does a great job. And this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play just $5. In this one, right away, the 49ers defense comes up with a big turnover on the very first possession. The Seahawks came out and after running the ball only 7 times in their prior matchup against the New York Giants, where they ended up somehow losing that game, which is wild to me. They came out and really made an emphasis on that first drive to run the ball. 4 of their first 5 plays from scrimmage were run plays, and then they ended up finding a big completion to DK Metcalf for 30 yards on a 3rd and 6. And then Malik Mustafa comes up with a huge interception. And it was Mustafa and the other rookie, Renardo Green, underneath, bracketing the receiver in coverage. It was DK Metcalf and Mustafa comes up with a great interception. I'm sure Geno Smith saw the 2 rookies in coverage and said, I'm going to my guy. Like, we got this. And now you don't. Not if Mustafa's got anything to say about it. So as a avid Lion King fan from the time I was a small child, Mustafa just sounds too much like Mufasa to not make that correlation. Anyways, the king of the jungle out here making the play and putting the 49ers in good position just to start this one. Well, not really great field position, as he made that interception near the goal line and just barely got back down to around like the 5-yard line. So the 49ers had to go a long way on their first drive in this one. Brock using his legs a lot in that first drive to scramble. It finds Deebo on that drive too, even though it was not a great pass from Brock. That one pass to Deebo on that drive, he had to kind of reach back and tip it to himself. Deebo really making all the plays out there today. That very first play, the reason I'm bringing it up, I thought that was pretty indicative of how Deebo was kind of being used tonight. It was he was making a lot of something out of nothing, if you know what I mean. He was, this was not a good ball from Brock. He turns it into a nice little gain, but he kind of got dinged up on the play. Looked like he came out of the game for like one play. Looked like he was in pain a little bit, but came back right away. And Deebo was doing this all night long. He was making those weird kind of gutsy plays where he was taking these weird contorting shots as he spin into the ground, and it didn't matter. He would come out for a play, come back in. He did everything the Niners needed tonight. After last week where Deebo was completely uninvolved, tonight was a great step forward for this 49ers offense, getting Deebo Samuel back involved. And there's so many weapons that not everyone's going to eat every single night. But the 49ers needed to start using Deebo to make their offense more multiple. We talked about this last time after the 49ers lost on Sunday. The offense looked super vanilla in their last outing. Tonight, not as much. You saw a lot of different types of runs. The run game wasn't super one-dimensional. It was inside runs, outside runs. You saw Guerendo rip off that huge 76-yard run at the end. I mean, Guerendo had 99 yards rushing today for the rookie. I mean, only 10 carries. And I mean, Jordan Mason also had 9 carries, 73 yards, did the vast majority of that in the first half before he went down with an injury. And Guerrero really took over in the second half, did a great job. Brock Purdy also scrambling around back there. Patrick Taylor Jr. got some carries. Deebo got some carries. Juszczyk even got a carry and found the end zone. So, I mean, it was running back by committee for sure tonight, not just like a 2-back committee or a 3-back committee, but we saw, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different guys on the 49ers get 4 or more carries. That's a lot of different guys getting that rock and pounding that potato, as Marshawn Lynch likes to say. But for the 49ers, this was a big win. This was not, I'm not going to say it's a must win this early in the season, but there were some big issues that this 49ers team has faced so far this season, mainly issues in the second half. And we've seen a couple second half letdowns now where the 49ers had double-digit leads in the second half, both against division opponents, against the Rams and against the Cardinals earlier this season. It was the same situation here. And I kind of got a sinking feeling after the 49ers went up 16-0, and they had only been able to score 1 touchdown in the first half, despite all those red zone trips. I was getting worried, man. And the Seahawks come down and kick a field goal right before the half. And I thought, I kind of just got a sinking feeling that this was going to kind of spark a little run for the Seahawks in the second half. But it kind of did a little bit. You know, the 49ers ended up coming out in the third quarter and going right down the field and scoring a touchdown after they got the ball back in the second half. And that was a huge moment in this game. It gave them a 23-3 lead. However, immediately after that, kick return for a touchdown. You cannot do that. The 49ers special teams unit, their kick coverage looks, I mean, just beyond bad. How many times did they give up returns of like 30, 40 plus yards tonight? It seems like every time that Laviska Shenault or whoever the hell was back there for the Seahawks, they were getting the ball up around midfield or between like near the 40 at least. And that's completely inexcusable. This needs to be resolved. I know everyone's going to have a learning period with these new kickoffs and stuff, but I don't see other teams unable to cover, like just completely unable to cover on special teams. So this needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. Special teams problems with the 49ers have been looming all season long. They were not great last year. And again, you got to shore up the special teams. How many times have we seen bad moments in the playoffs because special teams wasn't a sure thing? Shout out Kyle Williams. I hate to bring it up, but I mean, this can't happen. You can't be giving up kick returns for touchdowns and then in the same game give up another kick return into your own territory. Like the Seahawks were able to return the ball into 49ers territory once for a touchdown, and then a second time later on in this game, completely inexcusable. That needs to be fixed and addressed. I mean, instantly. But it was helpful that they had that 23-3 lead because they had some points to give. So they gave up that kick return for a touchdown. And then the Seahawks immediately forced a 3-and-out, and it palpably shifted that whole momentum in that stadium. Seattle then drives 94 yards for a touchdown, capped off by Kenneth Walker Jr. touchdown. And at this point, it's 23-17, 14 unanswered points for Seattle. And this looks a lot like the rest of the 49ers games that we've seen where they blow these second half leads, where in the second half, the defense kind of seems to hit a wall and the other team starts to, complete some passes, push the ball down the field. This running game, even though it wasn't breaking huge gains, it didn't seem like they were ever really stopped for losses too often in this one. They kept staying on schedule, following forward for positive gains, and putting Seattle in third and manageable situations. And Geno was okay tonight. He wasn't great. He obviously had the 2 turnovers, but he played well enough to keep Seattle in this game. They were really spreading the ball out. He connected on a couple big explosive plays, which the 49ers have really had a hard time with, those explosives. I mean, Tyler Lockett with a big 37-yard explosive on that 94-yard drive. It's been an issue for the 49ers. As a team, as a whole, they're not terrible as far as pass yards that they're giving up per game. They're one of the better teams in the NFL at pass yards defended, actually. But I mean, it's not been very good with the explosives. I mean, it seems like every game there's at least like 1 or 2 that directly result in a score for the other team. I mean, we brought it up several times, but the Justin Jefferson massive explosive pass play that happened. I mean, it's just been tough for the 49ers in the secondary at times. And I am a little concerned about this team and what they've shown on tape in the second half, including in today's game. They lost the second half in this one, only by 1 point, which is a lot better. But the 49ers aren't very good in the second half. If you look at what they're doing, I mean, in the second half, the 49ers are only averaging 9.2 points per game coming into this one in the second half, and they're surrendering 13.2 on average. So that's not very good. You got to figure out ways to finish games. It's been something that's been kind of hanging over Kyle Shanahan's head do we need to bring up the Atlanta Falcons, New England Patriots Super Bowl? I mean, it's been a thing where Kyle Shanahan has been criticized over his ability to close games. I don't think that it rests entirely on him. I really don't. The players got to go out there and finish. The defense has to step up. I am a little skeptical of what I'm seeing with this defense at times. I mean, in the second half, it just seems like they kind of fall apart in certain areas. They get a little lazy in pass defense. The run game starts to open up a little bit more in the second half. So there's a lot that can be improved with this defense going forward. But ultimately, a win's a win. Tonight, the 49ers with a huge win over Seattle. I mean, it came down to the wire in this one, really. I mean, it was that last touchdown that the 49ers were able to get. The Seattle Seahawks ended up trimming it to 29-24 after the Seahawks went and drove down the field, took up a ton of time. Had initially scored on that drive with a 52-yard bomb to DK, but it was called back for an illegal shift. And the Seahawks continued to just methodically drive down the field, eventually found Tyler Lockett for a touchdown, and lots of dump-offs on that drive. They found Kenneth Walker underneath like 6 or 7 times, and they were totally content with taking the short yards against the 49ers until they had those big explosives open up. And that kind of seems to be the thing that a lot of teams have been doing against this 49ers defense. Thankfully, the Niners were able to come back as soon as they got the ball back. Garendo broke free for that 76-yard run down the sideline. Great job on that play by rookie Dom Pooney to help open up that big hole for Garendo on the right side of the offensive line, and slides right before the goal line to kill more clock. A great unselfish play by a rookie, and he ends up with 99 rushing yards. So if he had just not slid, he would have ended up with a touchdown and over 100 yards, and that would have been nice for the rookie to get his first career touchdown. Instead, Kyle Juszczyk ends up punching it in after Seattle uses a few more timeouts and the Niners run out a little bit more clock. Celebrates with his wife, Kristen, in the stands, gives her the ball, 36-24, 49ers lead, and end up winning by that same score. And one more note, at the very end of this one, the 49ers just signed a new kicker, and this dude runs down the field on the last kickoff of the game, makes a tackle, and gets hurt. You saw him leave for the locker room right before the end of this game. 49ers just can't catch a break. Seems like every 49er of note went to the locker room in this one, except for like Brock Purdy, really, man. I mean, and Nick Bosa too. He didn't really leave the field much at all. But you saw Deebo like coming out for a few plays. You saw Kittle head to the locker room. You saw Aaron Banks, big old Aaron Banks, having some cramps in his legs. He had to go get some treatment. Like, there are a lot of 49ers that exited this game with injuries. This is a banged up team. Thankfully, since they have the Thursday night game today, they have the mini bye week coming up with a lot of time to get ready for Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. How do you like that one? After this super tough game going up to Seattle, you got to go play the Chiefs next. It doesn't get easier for the 49ers. The schedule is a doozy all the way up until December. They got to keep the gas pedal on. But a positive note, we talked a lot last time about red zone efficiency for the 49ers, and today was not the best, but better. So let's take a quick break, and on the other side, we'll go over the 49ers' success in the red zone that they were able to find today. A couple touchdown passes to George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk getting in for the rushing touchdown. Let's break that down on the other side. Stick with us on the Locked On 49ers postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. And today's show is brought to you by ZBiotics. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough day the next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Here's how to use it. Step 1, drink free alcohol. For best results, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Step 2, drink responsibly. Pace yourself, hydrate, and get a good night's sleep. And step 3, enjoy your day tomorrow. Wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day. Maybe go for a hike or something. Get outside, enjoy that sunshine. Go to zbiotics.com/lockedonnfl to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Locked On NFL at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lockedonnfl and use code LockedOnNFL at checkout for 15% off. And today's show is also sponsored by Game Time. I love live events, from concerts, sporting events, and everything in between, and I rely on Game Time to get my tickets. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I also love the all-in pricing feature. Toggling this feature on shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Game Time also gives customers the lowest price guarantee, where Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And with Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Receipt of copy does not constitute an order. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Just taking a quick, brief peek at the chat today. Randy says the injury bug is a big problem. Yeah, I mean, it's all over the NFL. It's every year around this time of year that this seems to happen. But my God, it seems like every major 49er has sustained an injury, with the exception of Brock Purdy. I mean, let's just keep hoping that surgically repaired elbow keeps holding together. That's the last thing 49ers need, is an injury to that guy. He's been rock steady for the 49ers, Brock steady at the quarterback position. And Mumbo says Pooney has been a blessing. Oh my God, I love me some big old offensive line play, and I love great run blocking guards, and that is what this guy is. I get so excited about this. I feel like this is like the ultimate nerd thing in football to get excited about. It's like offensive line run blocking, but that just gets me going, man. It's not the sexiest thing in the world to talk about, but my God, Dom Pooney has been a diamond in the rough that the 49ers found. I think this guy's going to be a mainstay on this offensive line for years to come. They have found a potential like future Pro Bowler, like perennial Pro Bowler that is going to play this position. I love Dom Pooney and everything he's doing on the right side of that line. And he's really taking this 49ers run game to another level. I mean, he's at least helping, but he's a big part of that. I mean, over the right side, that was never really the 49ers' strength. They usually would go to the left. They would be right running behind Banks and Trent Williams, and that's where they were making their bread and butter. But we've seen them go to the right a lot more. That Garendo run was down the right side, and that was the whole reason that massive hole was there for him to take, was because Dom Pooney sealed that block off. So, man, oh, man, Dom Pooney has been a big, big blessing. But the 49ers, I mean, they have had issues with these turnovers this season, or with really capitalizing on them and with capitalizing in the red zone. Today, the 49ers were a little bit better in the red area. They had a couple touchdowns to George Kittle. You had Kyle Juszczyk punching it in. So you were able to see 3 touchdowns from the 49ers inside of the red zone today. And I thought that was a big step forward, because this team, they turned into field goal merchants to an extent. I mean, it's just, that's all that they're doing, is going down, get to about the 30, the 20, maybe they get inside the 20, and then they just stall out. They have not run the ball inside the red zone very well at all. And this was a little bit of back to basics, like just real simple football. I'm going to give it to the big guy, and he's going to run it forward at the end zone. And that's what they did with Kyle Juszczyk at the end there. And I kind of like, it's caveman philosophy, like my guy bigger than your guy, and I'm going to run at you. And it's real simple, but sometimes it just needs to be that simple. And Kyle Shanahan sometimes is the smartest guy in the room, but sometimes needs to just get back to basics with just get your jumbo package out there, run the ball at the goal line. You got big old Jordan Mason down there. Isaac Grendo is a big guy too. He's 6 feet tall, 200 plus pounds. Like, you got some guys down there that can get physical with that football, and let them do it. Let them get inside, run inside the tackles, and do that. Run behind big old Dom Pooney and score the ball. And then additionally, when you're actually forced to pass in the red zone, which the 49ers have been put in that situation a lot, at least go to your big guy. Like, go to your big body receiver. Finding George Kittle in the red zone always sounds like a good idea to me. Today we saw Shanahan scheme up a play for him to get one-on-one coverage over the middle on that second touchdown that he caught. And that was a great scheme by Kyle Shanahan. It was pretty simple. It was kick the running back out, and both running backs out to the left side, and let Kittle work back over the middle in one-on-one coverage and find him over the middle, give him an opportunity to go make that play. And it resulted in a touchdown. Brock also caught Kittle right on the outside edge pylon for a touchdown. Kittle made a nice tap dancing reception for that first touchdown. And I mean, George Kittle, if he can be more effective in the red zone for the 49ers, that makes a giant difference for this team. So, I mean, they already have, other big bodies too. Jawan Jennings, great red zone target, big old dude down there. Brandon Ayuk has in past years been a really solid red zone target as well. So the 49ers have options. Just got to start using them better, man. Like, we don't need to kick field goals this often. But thankfully for the 49ers, they actually had a healthy kicker, at least for the majority of this game. He got hurt at the very end. I mean, just trying to make a tackle after the kickoff the same way Matthew Wright got hurt trying to make a tackle the same way Jake Moody did. You saw him jogging to the locker room at the end there. That wasn't the best. But the 49ers pulled out this win, and that's what matters. Their first division win of the 2024 season, in first road win of the season too. And to go into Seattle and pick up your first road win of the season is never easy. Yes, the 49ers have now won their last 6 matchups, but prior to that, oh my God, they lost 4 in a row, and then they won 1, lost 1, won 1, and then they lost like 8 in a row, 9 in a row. So I mean, it's been rough in Seattle. I mean, half my damn early 20s was watching this team just perennially get just destroyed up in Seattle, and since 2022, fortunes have changed. So as of recently, 49ers have been pretty good up there in Seattle. It feels like this Thursday night road game in Seattle has just kind of become like a tradition every year in the NFL now. So that is what it is. It's a tough situation, but the 49ers got to go do it. And I just got to say, winning in the throwback 94 whites, I love that uniform. That might be my all-time favorite football uniform. And I'm not a Seahawks fan, but I do like the throwback unis that they wore today too. It was a fun helmet game today for the NFL, and it was visually very fun to watch for me. I love those uniforms. That was a nice piece of nostalgia for me. So it was nice that the 49ers came out here and won. They came into this game hurting a lot, missing a lot of guys. No Ward, no Hufanga. It's been tough. It's been tough, but they really made the most out of the 3 turnovers that the Seahawks had, and that was the difference in this one. They generated 12 points off those 3 turnovers. So let's get into that a little bit more on the other side. The timely defense by the 49ers and the offense capitalizing on it more effectively than they have in past weeks in this season. So let's take a quick break here on the Locked On 49ers postcast. On the other side, we'll go over these turnovers, this defense, and what they did well today. And we got to give Deebo Samuel a little more love, man. I feel like we haven't talked nearly enough about Deebo and Brock too. Like, we're just completely forgetting about the engine that drives this whole team, Brock Purdy. And we got to talk about a lot more stuff on the other side. Not a lot of time. We'll try and get through it all. I'm your host, Eric Tripoli Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest live stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Angle. And today, the San Francisco 49ers ensure that Geno Smith has still never won versus the San Francisco 49ers as a Seahawk with another win this season. It brings them to 3-3 on the season, to 36-24 victory for the 49ers. And every 49er talked about this week leading up to this game how tough it is to go up to Seattle and get a win up here, and just how physical it is, and how, I mean, the crowd brings it, and you could feel that crowd shift the momentum in this one. But I got to give the credit to Brock Purdy and this 49ers defense for really riding the ship when things started to get a little rocky. And I mean, the run game too, it was really a team effort. I mean, the line looked a lot better today, making sure that the 49ers could still run the ball in the second half, something they were not able to do in the second half against the Cardinals. Couldn't put them away. They were able to do it here, and that helped a lot. But Brock stayed doing Brock things. I mean, another 18 of 28 night, 255 yards, 9.1 yards per pass, 3 touchdowns, no picks. A very efficient night for Brock. It could have been a little more efficient, but a very solid night for him all the way around. Meanwhile, Geno Smith, 2 picks, and the Seahawks had some fumbles as well in this one. The fumble on the kickoff return was a big one for the 49ers to get back, and the 49ers really did capitalize on all of these turnovers. They scored 12 points. You would have liked to see more than 1 touchdown off these 3 turnovers if we're going to nitpick, but the fact that they scored points on all of these possessions afterwards is a big deal. Yes, some of them they already picked up the ball in field goal range already, but it matters. It matters that you score points off of these situations. If you don't, you generally don't win the game. I mean, the 49ers did a good job today not turning the ball over, win the turnover battle 3-0. Seahawks turned it over 3 times, the 49ers 0 times. But you want to see points off these turnovers. You want to see Brock keep the offense on schedule and not, soil these opportunities. And so the 49ers did a much better job of doing that today. And I mean, we got to talk about it. Deebo Samuel, he only had 3 receptions in this one, but he did have 4 carries out of that backfield as well. He was affecting the game in a lot of different ways, was moving around in all those motions, all those orbit motions, drawing tons of gravity with that defense, following him across the field. And it really opened up a lot of other things for the 49ers. Brock spread the ball around a ton today. Kittle had 5 receptions. He had the most receptions of anybody, but he had 6 targets to Kittle, 5 to Deebo, 4 to Ayuk, 5 to Jennings, 4 to Juszczyk. He really spread this ball around a lot today. Brock was just taking what was given to him, not doing too much, not forcing the ball anywhere. He ends up with 3 touchdowns, over 250 yards passing, and a 49ers win. Rushing wise, they did have that Juszczyk touchdown. You saw Kittle and Juszczyk going in and celebrating with their wives, Claire Kittle and Christian Juszczyk, back in behind the end zone. They were right there in the front row of the stands, so they kind of jumped in, did like a Lumen leap, if you will, not Lambo leap, but a Lumen leap. You know what I mean? So that was kind of fun. Juszczyk gave his wife the ball, and it was a cool little feel good moment. Like, I love when you're able to do that in a rival stadium and just put the salt in the wound and just press that thumb into that open cut just a little bit more, twist it around a little bit, especially when it's the Seahawks, man. There's been so many years of pain of losing to that team. I hope that the 49ers rattle off another 4 or 5 consecutive wins over this Seahawks team before they're able to do it. But man, this 49ers secondary that was missing a lot of key guys. Charvarius Ward, no Talanoa Hufanga. You got Mustafa and Renardo Green back there, 2 rookies. Both of them come up with picks in this one. Both of them contribute to this 49ers win. Again, the 49ers get 12 points off turnovers, and the margin of victory in this one is exactly 12 points, 36-24 win for the San Francisco 49ers. And that was the difference in this one, man. That and the 49ers being able to stay on schedule with this offense, not trying to do too much, and just hitting a couple home run plays. Deebo Samuel with that 76-yard bomb, and Garendo with that 76-yard run off the right side at the end of this one really helped the 49ers out a lot. But those turnovers are what sealed it for them. The defense did a better job in this one in the second half, responding once that surge started to come in the second half. So that is a positive sign. it's still a long way to go. The team is now 500. It's their first win on the road, first win in division play. Got to get a lot more of both of those things as this season rolls on. Doesn't get any easier. Kansas City Chiefs are next, and man, oh man, I want that game so damn bad. Might be the single regular season game that I want to win the most for the 49ers. So stick with us. We'll be coming to you live, 10-day break. So we'll be coming to you live when the 49ers take on the Chiefs, not this Sunday, but a week from then. And stick with us on the Locked On 49ers postcast. Follow us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys making us your first listen following these 49ers games. And for your second listen, make sure you're tuning into Brian Peacock's daily show, the Locked On 49ers podcast. He's got some great info, man. Brian Peacock, I used to book him for shows when I worked at KMBR on the night show like forever ago. Man, that feels like an eternity ago. But Brian Peacock always does a great job. Locked On 49ers postcast, always fun. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you next time. Peace.